Hello there, my beautiful and lovely gamers. My name is Jonal. I'm finally back in Oslo, and we're gonna kick off. And the very first video talking about strafing and dodging, which was requested on our Discord server. Before I start that, I just want to see, since I'm now back in Oslo and so on, I will start streaming very soon. There will be a couple of test streams. I'm also taking out if I want to do coaching live on Twitch and so on. I would like to hear if you guys would like to see that. But there will be a couple of test streams very first. Because they have been like a billion updates to my streaming software, and I'm not 100% sure how efficient it's gonna be. So I just want to run a couple of streams. If you see something that's short or in general with bad FPS or something, it's probably me trying to figure out how to stream effective again. Now, let's start with tracer dodging. So we start with very basics, then we move on to stuff, but this is really directed generally at her and not to a general standard, right? This is really focused on tracers form of strafing and dodging and so on. So first, strafing, standard dodge, 80-80 spam on keyboard, left right. Normally, you know, big motions is really bad. They're easy to predict, they're easy to track, you know, not really being too beneficial. So especially with tracer, you want to do this. Essentially, you're spamming the A and D as fast as you can, left and right on whatever console you play, as fast as you can. Right, this does that on the opponent's screen. You see this big move where it almost looked like Tracer is fucking breaking her ankles trying to do it. She's forward and backward. Very like jiggery, fast movement. However, her on your screen, which you will see now, you barely move. On your screen, it doesn't look like, you know, your crosshair is still approximately at the same area, and of course you're leaning to one side, and you're so on. But on your screen, you barely move, so it doesn't punish your accuracy. But on their screen, it looks like you're moving a lot, making it very difficult for them to hit you. Now, to add on that, you can do crouch spamming in it. Now, notice that it's crouch spamming, meaning on keyboard, you might not want to try to use Control or C to do this. You might want to hotkey something on your mouse, or in general, just find a way that you can use, like, spam the crouch button without losing, you know, so you can still use your abilities, you can still aim, right? And you can still do the strafing. On my Logitech G502, there is a thumb button that I can click and spam on. Other mouses also have this. So I have like I think they call it a sniper button or a DPI slow button or whatever. So I can spam that, and that will make me crouch. You can do it however you want. And this will do this on their screen. So it's the same, you know, jiggly movement, but it's also now up and down, making you even harder to hit. So if they are tracking with their crosshairs, their eyes are on the crosshair, and then they shoot as soon as you go into the crosshair. You're not in there for a long time. It's very difficult for them to react to the shots. And if they're trying to tracking you with their eyes, it's again the same problem. It's really difficult to actually get their eyes on you and continue to following you, because you're always moving up and down and side to side, and you're always like this like vibrating you know, small girl of death with two guns, you know, coming towards you. And it's incredibly important to do in face-to-face fights, which we don't want to. We normally want to engage, but it always happens that we have to fight someone face-to-face, such as Yada or a Widow or whatever, that essentially they're trying to shoot at us, we're trying to shoot at them, so we are doing this really fast 80-80 spam with crouching on top of it to make us really difficult to hit, and at least making our head hitbox very difficult to get to. And that's very standard stuff. This is stuff that you should almost always do, and you should get comfortable doing it constantly, because it doesn't punish your accuracy, as you saw on your side of the screen. Didn't really move the crosshair that much, but on their screen it looks like you are like dodging like a motherfucker. So this is a very nice abuse to use with her very small hitbox. Now after that we have blinking, and how we want to do blinks is logically we want to try to blink out of their LOS. If you ever fought a tracer and she does a blink, but she's really far away, let's say that you're with her and you're scoping really far down, and she's very far away from you, she tries to blink, you know, the blink doesn't look like she's moving too much, and she's not moving out of your field of vision, meaning it's very easy for you just to track her and flick straight onto her. So of course, when you're close and so on, you're closer, you need to blink less or need to move less to get out of their field of vision, and you generally just want to try to do that. So blinking to the sides of your opponent, blinking multiple times and so on, essentially forcing them to do a rotation is very important to do. And you can do this multiple, so you can blink to the right, and then you can blink, you know, in an angle to the right, and then you can blink hard left in like almost a 90 degree angle. That's one of the ways. You can do a lot of things, but one of the most common, the one that I want to talk about, is the very important, and the best trick to get to used to you doing, that's the 180s, because these are used for dodging, these are used for close quarter fights, which is very important because a lot of people have problem playing Tracer in close quarters, and they're also very important for pulse bombs, since you a lot of time use them to kind of like pile in the pulse bomb range. So what is a 180? Well, it's what it sounds like. You blink and you do a 180 rotation, forcing the opponent to almost always himself do a 180 to try to follow you with his aim, right? And when he does that, when he turns towards you, you just blink through him again, and he has to do another one, essentially doing a 360. And then you can blink through it again, so he has to do another one, and by this time you normally have another blink, and you can blink one more time, right? So a 720 rotation he has to do. He's just spinning in circles trying to follow you. And notice that while you know that you're gonna blink, so you know you're blinking, you're rotating, he's kind of standing on the same area. So for you, it's very easy to track him. For him, you are blinking randomly. You're randomly just teleporting behind him. He has to then rotate, know exactly where you ended up behind him, and then shoot, because as soon as he sees you, you're gone again, right? And that's the issue. And on top of that, logically, you have recall. So blinking 180, blink 180, blink 180, very, very important to do. And logically, you need to be able to 180 rotate and lock your crosshair onto him again. This is very, very good in close quarter, since in close quarter it's normally narrow corridors and so on. Blinking to the left and the right normally it just ends you blinking into corners and walls and so on, but blinking straight through them is an easy way normally to get straight behind them. If you think King's Row first point, there's that little door with the red telephone booth. There's like the little door alleyway that a lot of times support players like to go into. In general, people sometimes like to go into that. You know, meeting a Zenyatta in there for a Tracer that doesn't know how to do proper 180s is a death sentence for her. She normally has to back off or hope that she can do the 80 spam with a crouch spam and so on to kind of dodge the shots. If you can 180, you can just blink 180 behind the guy, shoot him, reload, blink behind him, turn around again, shoot him again, or punch him, right? And constantly do that. So that's very important. As I said, you're also going to use it to pile in pulse bomb, which I've talked about in previous videos, so no need to go into details about that now. But what's very, very important to remember is that the general rule of Tracer blinks is that we blink when someone is looking at us. That's like how we use the blinks to dodge, right? So only when someone is looking at us, or some Doomfists try to fake it out. You know, they charge their fist and then they know where us and then they flick onto you, right? That requires far more skill from their side. And if you think that they're going to do that, blink to dodge, you know. But in general, we blink when we see the guy, you know, turning around and looking at us. That's when we start, when we pop another blink and blink out of their LOS again, so they have to do the exact same over and over again. That's a generalized rule for blinking. And how you want to do that, as I said, just try to get out of LOS, making them rotate as much as possible. And a lot of time, confusing them is fine. So, for example, you can blink 180 and mid-rotation that they're trying to rotate. So let's say they are rotating towards your right. You blink through them, you rotate it, you see them starting to rotate through your right. Maybe they have a little bit low DPI, or they're just so slow in general. Then you blink hard, then you blink to their left, right? So they never saw you behind them, right? So you do it really, really fast. And all of a sudden, you are back where you started, a little bit to their left, and they had now had to continue their rotation, doing almost a complete 360, and they still haven't tracked you properly, right? So you gotta find a little bit of blinking patterns. Try not to blink twice in one direction, especially if it's a 1v1, and so on, because logically then you're putting yourself out of range. So in general, using one blink and then using a blink in the different direction that they are at normally keeps you on the toe, keeps you hard to hit, hard to track, and so on. I hope that this helped. If you have any questions, then drop those down in the comments, like the video. It really means a lot and helps the video get shared more around to show to more people. Join the Discord community down, follow me on Twitter, all that kind of stuff, including Twitch if you want to catch me live, doing live coaching, analyzing, and also in general just losing SR and ranked. I hope that you guys, as always, have a lovely, lovely gaming experience. I love you very, very much. You guys stay positive and awesome. And as always, my name has been Jonal. You guys keep the enemy in your crosshair.